All right, guys, welcome to the Deal Desk. Happy Friday. We are on episode 130. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. I know there's a lot of newbies that will be joining today because I just spoke at the Real Advisors event over the weekend. So welcome. So if this is your first time tuning in, the way this works is you just submit your leads for me to call live, and I just call them. If you're in the Real Advisors community, you can go ahead and RSVP and submit your leads for me to call live on there. Or you can head over to the reitoolbox.com and submit your leads there for me to call live. And that's it. I mean, you get to see me get yelled at, overcome objections. I've closed some contracts. So you can head over to the RI Toolbox to submit your leads live. Let's get started. So somebody dumped their CRM in here, which I have no problem with. So we have a lot of leads in Maryland. We actually had a really good conversation on the last one with the gentleman. So let me pull this up. Ah, man, this one looks like it has solar. So when it comes to properties that have solar, it also depends on who your buyer is. Most buyers don't really like the whole solar situation, especially if they, if they plan on flipping it, obviously, if there's a lease in place. The last deal that I did that had solar was a property in South Tampa, and it was a very big headache with the lease and the company, and the guy was, the buyer was going to turn into an Airbnb, but he wanted nothing to do with the solar. But we ended up making a win-win-win situation. So just, when you're dealing with people that have solar, make sure you ask them if there's a lease in place, how much. Every solar company, most of them do things differently, especially their customer service. So this one we have here, this one is in Maryland. Let me pull this up. Let's see, entire screen. All right, cool. There's a lot of solar panels on this. All right. So here's the property. And let's go into the details here. So this is in Hyattsville, Maryland. Oh, no. Hold on. This one's in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Okay. All right. It's in fair condition. Didn't say they're downsizing. Repairs needed, didn't say. The reason for selling is they're downsizing. Awesome. Okay. All right, let's give this person a call. It's not too late to submit your leads, by the way. So if you have any leads you'd like to submit, go ahead and submit them, and I'll call them. So let me just make sure I have the right person here. 240. Oh, hold on. I'm going to try something different today. I'm going to use the desktop to call. I usually use my phone and I put it right next to the microphone, but I'm going to try using the computer, and I'm going to pull the audio from there, so it's just a little bit easier to hear. So let me see if how this makes a difference here. Hold on. Hello, is this Xavier?
Speaking.
My name's Steven. I think somebody from the office gave you a call a while back about your property in Harrington Drive.
Yes, I'm not interested in doing anything with it. Thank you.
Oh, you're not interested in selling it? Getting an offer on it?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Bye. All right. So, this gentleman changed his mind. You know, and when people, not just for here, but like, let's say you're in an office, you work out of an office and you have a team, or let's say you hired some cold callers. When the cold callers submit the lead, for example, and then you call the lead, right? Or let's say the cold caller speaks with the lead. The lead says, I want to sell because I'm downsizing, I need to relocate, right? And then it gets to acquisitions, and acquisitions calls them and they say, yeah, you know, I'm not interested anymore, right? He sounded like he just rushed off the phone, but dig in a little bit and say, okay, because they spoke with you not too long ago. What's changed since, right? I would just push it just a little bit just to get any extra information out of them if I can. And if I can't, then I'll just follow up in 30 days because we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but we want to make sure that we follow up with them no matter what, because if somebody initially showed interest in selling, there's always a reason they want to sell. All right. So just because they say yes now and then no later, doesn't mean that they're going to say no later again. So just always follow up with people, put them in the follow up. Let's go to the next one here. All right. All right. So this is the next property. Let me mark this one off. All right. This is in Jessup, Maryland on Roseway. All right. Needs light rehab. Tired landlord. All right. Cool. Miss Covington. What am I doing? Let me do this here. Can you guys hear when it rings, by the way? Let me see. Hold on. Make sure the audio is working okay. If you could let me know in the comments, that'll help me out. Thank you. Make sure you hear the conversation. Okay.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up.
And remember, when you guys are calling a Google Voice, like if you're calling from a Google Voice and you're calling another person and it has a Google Voice, you can either tell based off the voicemail or if it shows their business caller ID when you call or when you text them. I'm going to call this person one more time. Tree's in the way there.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available.
All right. They didn't pick up the phone. Okay. Let's see. So this people didn't answer. Let's mark this out. District Heights. Next one is in District Heights. And then we're going to go to Florida. We're going to go to Vegas. We're going back to Maryland. Then we're going to Georgia. Then we're going back to Maryland. Then we're going to Florida, Ohio, all over the place. Love it. Okay, so this one on District Heights needs a full renovation. Okay, needs a full renovation. And they want to sell because financial reasons. Those people always, they always want to sell very quickly. Oh, hold on a second. Is this okay? Let's make sure this is actually that other one. Let me make sure I called the right number here. Calls. I think I just called it. Yeah. 443. Okay. Oh, this is actually, I think I got these addresses mixed up. So this property that I was showing on Google, this is actually the right number for it. So I'm going to call this one and see if they pick up the phone on Grafton Street in District Heights. Okay, I was wondering, man, it does look like it needs a lot of work. You can usually tell from the outside of the house. All right, so we're going back to this property. Okay. Let's call this number. And their names are Mr. and Mrs. Jones. Let's run some comps on this.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available. At the tone, please record your message. When you have finished recording, you may hang up.
All right, I'm going to try calling them one more time. Let's break.
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail. The person you're trying to reach is not available.
No, but I do want to run comps on this. If somebody is very motivated according to the details, I'll run some quick comps. Let's see here. And it's also in a corner. So, when you guys are looking at these properties, when you're running comps, I also look at these things. Is it in a corner a lot? Obviously, when I'm running comps, bedroom, bathroom, square footage, year built. But what does the frontage look like? Right? So, for example, like this house, the subject property we're looking at, it's a lot more different than this house. Right? These are two. I mean, they're all brick. Let me see. Whoa, what is this one? Hold on a second. This looks vacant. Maybe. This house actually looks very similar. But these are all things. This roof looks older. See how it looks like a brick pattern on the roof? That's called a 3-tab roof. And then the roofs that are layered, like it looks like that, that's called an architectural roof. So these architectural roofs actually last a lot longer and they're more resistant against winds. And I mean, this one looks pretty old, beat up. So I would skip trace that one if I were you, or I would try to get some information from the homeowner. But let me run some quick comps on it. So this is it doesn't say how many bedrooms it has. It says 2 bathrooms, 1,083 square feet, built in 1951. Let's look at the comps and see what's going on in the area. The estimated value is 328. Okay. I do see a really close one that sold for 465 right around the corner. Let me see. But this is a 4.2. Actually, it's smaller than ours, and it's the same year built. Interesting. And it's right on the other side of Upland Avenue. 465. Wow. And that is the highest selling one I see in the area. So anytime you see the highest selling one, chances are that's the ARV. All right. And when you guys find the highest selling one, or even one that's not the highest selling, like maybe it's right below that, something I recommend is obviously looking at the transaction history for that property, but also pull it up on Google and see if there's any photos you can find. Realtor.com is usually a good source when you're looking for photos for ARVs, right? To see if like it's an actual flip. There's a difference between a flip and an updated property. You know, is it staged? You know, what's the finishes in the kitchen, the bathrooms? Is there granite? Like, when did they buy it? When did they sell it? I look at all those things. All those things. So this doesn't show that it was purchased by an LLC and it wasn't even a cash transaction. But I mean, I would also reach out to this person, ask them, you know, if they're an investor or not. You never know. Some people buy these properties under their own personal name. Okay, but always look at 2 to 3 comparable properties. You'll never just base it off one, because one isn't enough information. Sometimes these properties are one-off properties. So don't put all your eggs in one basket when running comps. And remember, an ARV is just an estimated value that somebody would pay. It could be worth a lot less or a lot more to somebody else. Okay, but you should have a good understanding, especially if you are wholesaling, have a good understanding of a range that they would be at. And even when I'm coming up with my ranges, I still try to stay conservative, because when I'm selling the deal to my buyers, I want to give them as much information as possible, but I also don't want to inflate the numbers. Okay. Buyers get deals sent to them all the time, and a lot of them are garbage deals because they're just overpriced. And, you know, maybe somebody, made the asking price a lot more and their repairs a lot less. So whenever I'm dealing with like properties that are fully renovated, that they need a full renovation, I'm actually very conservative. I actually go a little bit higher on the repairs, because worst case scenario, the repairs aren't as much as you thought they would be. Okay. So I don't think a buyer's going to be mad, oh, those repairs are too much, right? Usually it's the other way around. Buyers will say to people, oh man, those repairs are a lot more than what you think they are. And we don't even market the properties primarily with like an exact repair amount, because again, buyers have their own material costs, labor costs. Everybody's different. And rehabbers are going to make offers a lot different than landlords. Okay. And or hedge funds, if you like selling to them or not. All right. So landlords will look at properties differently than rehabbers, and vice versa. So, a flip, if a rehabber is looking at a flip, I want to tell them I have an estimated amount that's going to be around $30 a square foot for this property. And I just want to stay conservative and give them all the information. And then when you guys are getting photos of these properties, try to take close-up photos of like the ugly, like show the good, the bad, the ugly. Don't hide anything. If you're new and you're taking photos, show everything, disclose everything as it should be. Don't ever try to hide like something that you found on the property you don't want your cash buyer to see. They're going to see it anyway. Just be transparent and show them everything. If there's a crack on the outside of the house, zoom in on that and show them. All right, so the next one is a condo in Florida. Florida condos are not the most attractive right now, considering the insurance and HOA stuff going on. Everything's going up. Condos are not that sexy. There's assessment fees, there's HOA, there's insurance. So I see this property here. The first thing they do, the first picture is a little table with a little fruit and some wine on the balcony overlooking the ocean. And then they drop the price $20,000. Man, they have this. I mean, the Zestimate, it's give or take, pretty close, but the Zestimate is $460, and they have this listed for $570. No bueno. Give me 1 second here. Really nice view. Wow. All right. So this is the property. Fair condition, repairs need a kitchen. Reason they want to sell is retirement, or what is this? Retirement from renting. Nice. So tired landlord. You know, what do you guys think about this? You think this is a good selling point? I think they're trying to paint the picture of imagine yourself eating fruit and drinking wine on the balcony overlooking the ocean. Really nice view. Wow. But they have it $100,000 more. Man, I thought this was a real banana tree for a second. These fake plants are getting more realistic. Look, it's like sprouting a new batch there. Very, very tropical theme. Let's give him a call. Mr. De Barros. Let's see if they answer the phone. It's in good shape. It's just outdated. So if they're tired of renting it, that shows me obviously that it's rented. But I want to ask them, well, what was it rented at before? How long were they in there for? And how come they didn't, stay? I want to ask those questions. Kitchen's fine. The cabinets.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
Karen DeBears.
Let me call back one more see if they pick up the phone. Hold on a second. Okay, so that was, I'm assuming, was the wife's voicemail, but you spoke with the husband. All right, let me pull this back up. And sometimes if, like you spoke with the husband and then the wife answered, you do want to let them know that somebody from the office or yourself kind of picked up where he left off. Oh, this is nice. 3D floor plan. Beach Road. Link 4.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system.
Karen DeBears.
Is not available.
Okay. No answer. So whether it's a condo or not, if somebody is selling because they are a tired landlord, gather information about what the what the previous rent was and how long they were there for, because that also gives you good information as to for your buyer, right? So like, let's say Florida condos are awesome and landlords are really looking for them at a good price. Get the taxes, the insurance, get the HOA and the assessment fees, if any, and the rent, right? And sometimes for these communities, there's rental restrictions. There's rental restrictions, whether it's a time frame, or in some cases, you have to be a certain age to live there. It's got a sauna. Oh, this is probably pictures of the clubhouse. I thought they had a sauna in there. I'm assuming like that's a clubhouse because it looks closer to to the first floor. Okay, and then when you're looking at condos, remember they're a lot easier to comp because they're all almost the same, very cookie cutter. Okay, this has been listed for 27 days, so that's a good negotiation point. All right. And Florida condos are not the most attractive right now, so I'm very, very conservative on these prices when I'm looking at this stuff. And I'll explain that to the homeowner. Say, hey, like HOA, insurance, all this stuff is going up in Florida, especially after the hurricanes. So, it's a risk for sure. All right, the next one. I called this one Las Vegas. Okay. Las Vegas is great. Great market. Okay, so you submitted a property that's fully renovated. The reason they want to sell is because they want to flip and reinvest. All right. Now, if somebody's selling a fully renovated property, most of the time, I could say 99% of the time, flippers are selling those properties and they're looking for retail buyers, somebody that wants to buy and move into it and pay top dollar. Okay. Most of the time flips are not, distress motivated sellers. Okay. They're investors. And it says here wants to flip and reinvest. So I'm assuming this is a flip. And then there's also investors that, they didn't finish the project and, maybe they ran out of money or something happened and then they have to sell it. So hold on a second. This says closed. Let me see. Maybe they sold it. That's interesting. 6-bedroom, 2-bath, 1670 square feet. We'll call them anyway, but this is, let's see what the finish looks like. All right. Yeah, so floors, looks like new floors, new paint. Yeah, the kitchen's renovated. I saw some granite. There it is. All right. Well, and remember, just because they're not a seller doesn't mean that they're not a buyer, especially when they said they're looking to reinvest. So even though this may not be a good seller for you, this will be a great cash buyer for you. Okay. So his name's Mark. So, hey, Mark, well, let me see if he answers because I want you to hear what that transition looks like. It's pretty simple, right? I don't want to waste your time. We do what you do, but we come across more properties in this area. Are you still looking to invest? How many projects do you usually do? It says right in the description, wants to flip and reinvest. So I'm assuming he's already looking for his next flip. So get his buy box, get his criteria. Some buyers have multiple projects going on at once, and some buyers are, they do one a month, and some buyers do one a quarter, and some buyers do one a year. I would suggest that, you really want to talk to the guys that do a lot of volume.
Hello.
Hey, is this Mark?
Yeah. Now who's calling?
My name's Steven. I think you spoke with somebody from our team about your house on Dune Drive in Vegas.
Oh, okay. What about it?
Yeah, quick question. So we're also investors too. I don't know how you showed up on the list. Or I'm assuming you're looking to sell this to a retail buyer because it's renovated, right?
Hey, to be honest, I think I'm gonna just pull it from the listing. I'm not. I don't think I'm interested in selling anymore.
Oh, you're gonna buy and hold it?
Yep. That's usually what I do.
Okay, perfect. Are you looking for more in the area? We come across a lot of these.
Yeah, no, I'm purchasing one right now. The other one right now. Is that where you were referring to?
Yeah, we buy and sell in Vegas a lot. If you want, we can text you our information. You can kind of tell us what you want, and if we come across something, we could send it your way and see if we can, do some business.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Why not?
All right. Thank you very much.
I'm already. Absolutely. I have a real estate agent that I work with.
Mhm.
A buddy of mine, his lady. But as far as that, I guess I'm willing to check out, something else. But that's my main preference for the most part.
Yeah, we could send it to the agent too if you prefer.
Okay. All right. 10-4. Yeah, and I guess single family and also multifamily.
Single family. And how many projects do you usually have going on at once?
It really all depends. I'm kind of just getting started in this, so I'm not really too big or anything like that.
Gotcha. Okay. No problem. Well, we'll reach out to you and see if we can get a criteria, and we could probably come across something that makes sense for you.
Okay. 10-4.
Thanks, Mark. Have a good weekend.
Thanks. Absolutely. You too.
Well, he's just getting started. He says his agent sends him stuff. Hey, that's fine. If you're just getting started, you feel comfortable, only your agent sending you stuff. Remember, we focus on off market. If there's a real estate agent working with this buyer and he just feels more comfortable having the agent do everything, whatever, we'll send it to the agent. He sounded like he was in a rush. He was in the middle of something. Somebody was like screaming in the background. But, I asked him how many projects he has going on. He's fairly new, so he may not be a VIP buyer, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So, as he picks things up, he may want more. And if you can provide him like a good experience, like send him something at such a good price. When we market our deals, we want to make sure that it's priced correctly. We don't want to overprice it for people to go back and forth. Like, we want to price it where it gets attention immediately. And Vegas is great. I mean, we got a deal in Vegas. Hopefully it's closing next week because it got delayed. But it got interest immediately and from a couple funds as well. And it was no, it wasn't a condo. Was it a condo? I think, or maybe it was. But anyways, it got a lot of interest because it was just priced correctly. You know what's very interesting about Vegas? Well, some markets, right? But the ARV, I think it was around 350, and we got it for 190. Okay. And the way I came up with, and we had to reduce it because originally we had it for, I think it was 200, something like that. Now, if you go to like any market as a flip, that may not have enough spread, but the property isn't decent. It does need some work, but it's not like a tear down. But the way I determined what my offer was for that property is right across the street, an LLC bought one exactly just like ours in regards to bedroom, bathroom, square footage, year built for $216,000. So I know our MAO was 206. Okay. And we negotiated a good deal, but your best comps are going to be the ones that investors bought within the last 3 to 6 months. That always tell you very quickly if it's a good deal. If I did the 70% rule on that, the numbers wouldn't reflect my MAO. And that's why if there's a clear cash comp that was sold to an LLC, that's how we determine our offers, and it works, right? Some markets it doesn't. You have to play with the numbers. But most of the time it does work, and we do get good feedback because we're putting it out to the market at a lower price or the same price that investors are buying at. So it makes sense. They do all the work for you. The market does the work for you. All you got to do is follow the formula. Okay. So yeah, that's a good cash buyer. Whoever submitted that lead, I think it was let me see, was it Simone? Let me see. Inga, you submitted this. So reach out to Mark. Okay. Get his buy box, and there's a cash buyer you have in that area. Okay. Next one is in Lakeville, Connecticut. Lakeville, Connecticut. And if you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat and I will answer them shortly. Any questions you have? Any questions you have? All right, let me see. So this one's on Lime Rock Road. Let me see if it comes up because it looks like it's not pulling up. Lime Rock Road. There we go. Lakeville, Connecticut. Oh, this is looks like a haunted house. Fair condition. That's all I see here. Or is this? Well, it says fair condition. This might be a style with some houses. I don't see it too often, but it's like all black. Interesting. Okay. What do you guys think about this style? I mean, if you flipped a house, what do you think about this color? It's got like a maroon door. I mean, this looks like one of those houses where the kids are trick-or-treating in the movies and they pull up and, they see a ghost or something. And then I've seen some flips where they paint the house all black. I think it takes a very specific buyer, but, whatever works in the market. Anyways, I just see it's in fair condition, it says. Okay, so we'll just do our best to get to use as much information to gather. I see a window unit here. A couple window units. The roof looks a little older. All right, cool. What is the seller's name? Is it Giacomo? Teresa. I'm just going to say Teresa. All right, let me take this number. Lakeville, Connecticut. All right, let's give him a call. Let me look at these comments.
Hello.
Hello?
Who's this?
My name's Steve. Is this Mr. Giacomo?
What do you want? Go ahead.
I think my partner spoke with your wife, I think, Teresa, about the property on Lime Rock Road a while back.
Yeah.
Were you still interested in
Go
getting
ahead.
an offer on that property?
Okay. What number? What's the address?
This is the address on, let me see here. Lime Rock Road in Lakeville.
Number?
House number?
Yes.
Give me 1 second here.
Okay. So who called me? A lady?
Yes, sir.
What was the name? Makita or something like that?
That's correct. Yep.
So what can I do for you now?
Did I catch you at a
She
good
said it was
time?
no good. So let's start from scratch. What do you want from me?
Yeah, so I think she spoke.
You want to make an offer?
I think
or-
she spoke with Teresa, and you were interested in getting an offer on it. The purpose of my call is just to ask a few questions about it, so I can give you more or less a ballpark idea. That's pretty much it. It takes about 5-10 minutes.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, great. So, can you tell me a little bit more about as far specifically like the condition, like like the roof, the AC, bathrooms, kitchen, those kinds of things?
Okay, did you see the house, by the way?
I have
see
not
anything?
personally seen it. No, I'm looking at it online though. It's like an all black house.
Okay, so you go inside. Everything is brand new, from studs up.
Oh wow, okay.
Kitchen, walls, plumbing, air conditioning, electrical, appliances. I have the one next door. I bought this off to my neighbor. Was a total wreck. So we had to gut it,
Okay.
and we totally renovated. But now and then, what happened was, make a long story short, the one next door burnt down. And God bless it. It was a blessing in disguise because it turned out to be, we built a beautiful house.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't need 471 anymore. So there's no distress in this house, this sale. It's just that I don't need it. And all this work we did is going to go to the next guy.
Mm.
So we rent it sometimes because there is a racetrack in town there, and there's a Hotchkiss, a very private school that rents to the parents of these guys. It's an $80,000 a year school, and they don't want their kids staying in the dorm all the time, so they rent a house or something like that.
Okay.
And as far as I could say, the outside's solid. It was built in 1850, so it is solid. And the roof is probably, if you scroll down, you'll see it's in really good shape. It was probably done 12, 14 years ago, maybe. I'm not sure. But it's in good shape. It doesn't leak. If it leaked, it will be fixed.
Got it.
And what else? What else?
Okay, so you had it listed, I see, back in May for 465.
Yeah, we started to list it. I took it off. Let's see what a lady. That town is against the racetrack there.
Yeah.
And she just was a negative thing, and she didn't show it like it should have been shown. And it's really a house. And in the summertime, it's no noise. They say it's noise, but the old people in the town, the old, what do they call it? The old whatever they call it. Anyway, so we took it off, and we could see what happens. Just like as I said, but nice. Let's sell it. Screw it. If I sell it to real estate, I got to pay the interest. What you're saying is you're going to buy it without a real estate. So I'm interested in what you want to offer. Period.
Sure. So let me take a look here. So last time.
What do you buy? What do you buy it for? Like an Airbnb kind of investment, or?
Yeah, it really depends on the location. I mean, we buy all kinds of properties, whether it's a full fixer-upper to rentals. I think this sounds more like a rental property. So you had it listed for 471. What are you looking to sell it for now?
Without a real estate or with?
Without a real estate agent.
I get two offers. One guy was too good to be true. He was 385. He turned out to be bullshit.
Wow.
So I think that was a little high for what for guys like you.
Yeah, for investors, that'd be too high in my opinion.
Yeah, when he threw that number out for me, I knew he was bullshit. Then he sends me his DocuSign bullshit.
Yeah.
No, thank you. So I got rid of him.
Okay.
And any reasonable thing that's going to be, advantageous to you and to me.
Right.
I say it's no distress thing. It's sitting
Right.
there, I can use it when I go up there. I'm in Florida. You call Florida. You're in Florida.
Yeah, I live in Tampa actually. I'm from Tampa.
I'm in Jupiter.
You're where?
I'm in Jupiter. You call Jupiter when you call me.
Oh,
561.
Okay, you're not too far from me.
No.
All right. And this property is currently vacant, right?
It's empty and furnished. It will come furnished, by the way, if you want it.
Oh, okay, perfect.
But
What
everything is new in there.
what does it rent at? What can I rent it at?
Long term or short term?
I think both.
Well, when we rent it out for VRBO, we don't do Airbnb. VRBO, because my son lives right next door.
Oh, okay.
So he can watch, and he knows who's going in there, and he only rents the race teams come in for this racetrack I told you about,
Yeah.
and it's very limited hotel rooms, and there's very availability at their price range. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So what I rent this thing for, when I rent it to those guys, I get five and a quarter a night. 'cause
Nice.
they, a couple of guys go in there and the teams pay for it. Sometimes these pro teams come in. And when people come up from New York to go for the weekend or get away, it's the same thing. They come up
Yeah.
with a family, they stay in there. So that's what the Airbnb. And the rental long term is probably worth it getting like the 26, maybe 28, 29. You can peak out at 3, maybe. I doubt it.
That's next to Lime Rock Drivers Club. Is that like a seasonal thing, or do you get pretty good traffic year round?
Well, it closes it's closed now and it opens up next month.
Okay.
So and by the way, they just sold to the guy that used to own the conglomerate executive, that used to own Airstream. So they're putting a ton of money in it, and they're building more facility for club owners and for spectators, and they're bringing more events into town, which these stupid people in town, they don't really look at this. It brings millions of dollars into the town, but they say, "Oh, we got noise," and they won't let them race on Sunday.
Oh, really?
And you bring in pro, like you're familiar with NASCAR?
Yeah.
Okay, so NASCAR's coming in first time in 25 years. They got NASCAR again.
Wow.
And you got IMSA's coming in there. You got a lot of pro teams and a lot of people and books up. So I wish I had 10 of them at that time. Of course, that's when you get 600-700 a night.
Yeah.
And they kiss you for that rate. Because don't forget, it's 4 or 5 bedrooms, and two or 3 guys go in there, and they're comfortable, and they can, cook and everything. And you look at the kitchen. I don't know what pictures you got. You see the kitchen?
I don't. Where can I find that? So let me see if I could pull it up here.
Go on realtor.com.
Okay. So all these are recent photos on Realtor.com.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So why not list it again? Have you considered just relisting it, or?
Because I got aggravated. Holidays. I come off for the holidays, and
Yeah.
I said, screw it. I'm not there. My son was traveling, and I got really pissed off at the girl, and that's it. I said, screw it.
Okay.
So I'll just wait. If I keep it, I'm going to start renting it again. It'll pay for itself if I keep it. Whatchamacallit.
Right.
It's not a big deal.
Okay.
But any offer would go. Just to get out of there. Because I got the one next door. I go, and by the way, if you do rent it, there's a manager right next door because my kid lives there.
That's great. That makes things very easy.
And the driveways connect. It's one driveway. You got a lot of nice property there. I mean, it's a beautiful. It's a small, quaint town. Where you from? You from Florida?
I was born in Puerto Rico and I moved to Tampa.
Oh, okay.
That's a
So
long
you've never been
time.
up in New York. It's a nice one of those little New England quainty towns.
Yeah. Okay.
And like there's a church down a little bit around the street, and it plays church bells in at 12 o'clock. It's really nice, I gotta tell you.
That's great.
So that's about it.
So you think I could rent it for $525 a night on VRBO?
I know you can.
Okay. That's good. When would it be possible to take a look at the property sometime?
Yeah, my son's there.
Okay. So
Tell me when.
yeah. So just so I don't waste your time, did you have an estimated ballpark as to where you were trying to stay at for it?
Let's put it this way. What's your estimated eyeball?
Yeah, I mean, it depends what I really can do with it. It seems like it'd be a good rental property. The estimated value, let me pull this up here. There's not many comparable properties.
I think it's up in the high threes. I think 400 on the low.
Yeah. Obviously, as an investor, I
If you're
wouldn't.
not familiar with the area, it's very enticing from New York. Okay, because there's a Metro North that goes right into Grand Central Station. A lot of people in that town have houses there, and they go down to the train station. They leave their car at the train station and take their train back into New York, right to Grand Central.
Mm-hmm.
And on the weekend, like tonight, a bunch of people come up. The parking is $5 a week, so they leave their car there, and they come up, pick up their car, and they have a weekend up in the country. and then they go back home, back to the rat race.
Mhm.
If you could understand that part. So that's one of the things. My next thing, I wasn't going to put a thing. I was going to put it in New York Times. I put it online, and put it on one of these racing magazines, and that's where you're going to get a lot of traffic, because you're going to get people coming up from New York and paying the money because they don't care.
Yeah. What kind of time
Share it
frame
with another
were you looking to sell it?
tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay. Just because you don't use it anymore, or what's the main reason you really want to sell it? Seems like it's doing okay.
No, I don't use it. I don't use it. Just explain to you. I use the one next door. Beautiful house.
Yeah.
Before that, I was using it. My son don't want me in there. Like when you go to your parents, whatever, if you go there or live there, you don't want them there. So he don't want me there.
Okay.
So we were staying next door, and we timed it out. Like I said, we're in Florida. We ought to go for a week, and if I spend 5 days a year, a week, it's a lot.
What was the last time it was rented?
I don't know. About a month ago.
A month ago. Okay.
It was snowing. I'm not sure. I don't take care of it, to tell you the truth, very honestly.
Yeah.
He takes care of everything. He's got the numbers and what it brought in and everything. It's pretty. It's well over what the cost of the house for the year. Oh, by the way, the taxes.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what you pay taxes down here and what you pay HOA. I don't know where you live.
Yeah.
Taxes are $1,400.
Wow.
Nothing. Because there's no garbage pickup, and like I say, it's a quainty nothing town. All old money in these big mansions on the hill.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have to, who would look at it? You, or you'd send somebody in to look at it?
I'll send somebody to look at it. I have some partners up there up north. So
Okay.
this thing gross should do about 15 grand easily, right?
More than that.
More than that on VRBO. And how long has that VRBO account been active for?
I don't take care of it, to tell you the truth.
Uh-huh.
So I can't answer that honestly question. Probably a couple of years, maybe.
Okay.
Just to get the exposure to the guy. Mostly it's the guys renting it at the track.
Gotcha.
What would you think would be good income for that VRBO?
I mean, if it's bringing in 15 grand, if it rents at 525, that seems pretty good. We own a few properties on VRBO and Airbnb here in Tampa, but this one's very unique. We definitely want to get eyes on it. The only concern I have is just the age of the house. It's 18.
Hey, it's 150 freaking years old. It ain't going no place. It's solid as a fucking rock.
What do you pay insurance on this?
Another thing, it's between 5,000 maybe.
Okay.
I don't see. I really don't take care of it because I was against this shit when they did it. My son and my wife did it.
Yeah.
The idea was for me to just fix it up when I bought it, to get rid of it right away when the market was hot. But then, no, we're gonna go up there all the time.
It's on Zillow. It says
So
it's worth 120. That seems low, doesn't it? On Zillow, it says it's worth 120.
No, it can't be the red dress.
You sure? Let
No.
me see.
Yep.
As I see the photos on Realtor, let me pull this up. Let me just make sure I have the right one.
Yeah. If that says that, it's wrong because it was way more than that before that. Rogers was. I got a call coming from overseas here. Can I get you back to you? Or you want to call me back? Hello? Yeah, I got an overseas call coming in here. Shit. How do you do it? How do I get back fucking WhatsApp here? How do you do this? All right. Call me back.
Oh, there we go. I was muted because he was giving me the address. But very interesting house. I'm looking at these pictures. There are some on Realtor.com. I did pull up the location, and it's like right next to a racetrack. Now, this seems very interesting as a short-term rental, considering the location, because all these race car drivers need a place to stay, and it's right there. But apparently, it's bringing in 15K gross. Okay. But the thing is, he didn't have time. He had a call overseas he had to take. But I don't want to rush the process. Like, just because he's taking a call, he kept asking me, well, where do you think you'd be at? It's just a dance. You guys hear me okay? Let me see. Yeah, I'm unmuted. And there's no comps for this. I mean, like, I don't see any similar properties that have sold in the last, I'm going back 12 months here. I don't see anything. Let me go back even further, which I don't like doing. Okay, so the most recent sale was January of 2023. And this property, it sold for 163. Okay, so the longer you can keep somebody on the phone, the better. Even if they ask you, well, how much would you pay? Right? I don't give them a number. I try to find data that I can start at, but if I can't find anything, I'll tell them that. So I wish I had a little bit more time with them. It seems like it could be a great, let me show you guys the photos. I mean, the street view doesn't do it justice. I think it's actually a nice looking property. Look at this. Okay, so this is the inside. And he says he's also willing to sell it furnished. So these are recent photos. But the thing is, these kinds of properties, you don't make offers, in like 7 minutes. You have to collect a lot more information. I'm going to get to your questions in just a second, guys. But to wrap this one up, anytime you're dealing with somebody that has like a property, a short-term rental property, you have to make sure you get as much information out of it. When was it rented? How long was it rented for? Right? What was it rented at? Who does it rent to? What's the location? This is literally like walking distance from a racetrack. And he said like NASCAR and all this stuff. He said it rents at about $525 a night. Okay. I mean, this looks good. It looks better than I thought. This might be a great short-term rental, but we have to do more due diligence. Is this a shower? It's an interesting shower. We need to do more of a due diligence on this. But it's in great shape. And, his son lives next door and helps manage the property. Okay. So yeah, I think this guy's, he seems very motivated. He wants to sell tomorrow, and but he won't give me a price. Now, he said the Zestin was like 400,000. I pulled up Zillow and it said 120. So I had to confirm the address with him, and it was the correct address. And he said he had to take another call. So anytime I need to confirm an address, I'll mute myself. But yeah, I think this could be a good potential property. We need more information. Guys, drop your questions. I'm going to go ahead and answer them. So questions from the private Zoom chat. Questions. What does it mean by off-market versus on-market? And does on-market mean the same as listings? Yeah, so off-market means it's not listed, right? So it's not listed on the MLS, right? So if an agent posts a property on the MLS, the whole world can see it. That's on-market. When we market to sellers, we look for off markets. That means it's not listed. And we maintain more control of the negotiation, the process, the time frame, the inspection. If a property is on market, it doesn't mean it's a bad deal. It just means there's more competition and they're dealing with an agent. And some agents are not investor friendly. You still give an offer, but we look for off market properties. And, that's, if you guys are wholesaling, you should too. What is a buy box? Do we have something in RealVisor? So a buy box is basically let's say Bob the Builder flips properties, and let's say I'm wholesaling in properties. I need his buy box. So buy box can be, hey, what is your bedroom? What kind of properties do you buy? Is there a specific zip code? What kind of property? Block or wood frame? How many bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, year built? Primarily when buyers give me a buy box, like my buy box, for example, I like properties that are less than or at minimum 1,600 square feet in specific zip codes, right? And I'll actually post it in the group, my personal buy box. So if you have somebody's buy box, okay, now you know what they like. And having a buy box for a buyer is very good, especially for VIP buyers. If I have a buy box from a VIP buyer, sometimes I can market exactly for what he wants. But you have to vet these buyers. So if you know they do a lot of volume, okay, let's say they do more than 2 to 3 flips a month, they buy often, they close quickly, they make offers on everything. If that buyer gives me their buy box, I will actually pull data specifically for what they're looking for, because we know that if we get something that fits their buy box, they will make an offer and close on it quickly. And then some buyers don't really, they're more open, they're not very specific. But yes, hit that like button. Thank you very much. And also hit that subscribe button. Thank you. All right. Is wholesaling dead? Be honest. I've been doing this for 10 years. It's not going anywhere. It's bulletproof. Have the strategies changed? Absolutely. The way we do this now is way different than it was in 2015. When I got in 2015, interest rates were lower. The market was hot. You sent out deals, they got offers quickly. There wasn't as many people. Listen, this industry works. It doesn't matter what way the market's going, but you have to adapt to the changes, right? When interest rates started going up, hedge funds pulled out, buyers were backing out a little bit. That doesn't mean you can't do deals. It just means you have to get better at negotiating better deals, because no matter what's going on in the market, if you set up a deal, I should actually do a video on this, actually. Let me write that down. I'll probably do a video on what makes a good deal, right? What works now. So let me write that down. What makes a good deal? You guys, let me also know in the comments what kind of videos. I want to start making a lot more content, especially on my YouTube channel. What kind of videos do you want to see me talk about? Is it something you're struggling with? Is it something that you're unfamiliar with or you want to know? Let me know in the comments. I do read the comments, so let me know in the comments what kind of videos you'd like to see, something that would help you. But what makes a good deal? That's a good topic. What does make a good deal? Because not every deal is the same, and not every deal is a deal. All right. And, is wholesaling dead? Which I already answered that, but it's not enough me saying no. I want to explain to you why it's not. Okay. So I've been doing this for about 10 years. I've seen, I'm considered a baby compared to some of these people that have seen cycles of this, because the real estate market has cycles. Okay. Like in 2006, Now, when the pandemic hit, that's when I started I went on my own. I started my own business, and I actually did very well because I had a virtual model set up. But if you guys have a virtual model set up, you have to do things differently. The way you look at offers, the way, like if I want to go look at this property, I'm not going to go look at it. I have to work with an investor-friendly agent. I want to get photos, videos. There's a lot of different processes. I have a lot of good video ideas, but please let me know in the comments, what kind of videos do you want to see me talk about? But wholesaling's not dead. It's never going to be dead. The only way this business is going to be dead is the day that nobody lives in houses. I think that's the only way it's going to die. The day that everybody's homeless is the day this business will be dead, because you won't have any houses to flip. Okay? So it's not going anywhere. The changes, the strategies, the marketing channels have changed drastically. I will tell you right now, something that's not as effective this time around is, I mean, for example, like SMS, cold calling, all that stuff, they're getting a lot more strict with the laws. As a matter of fact, I read somewhere, starting January 27th, they're actually implementing the TCPA is implementing a one-on-one consent law. So basically, if you're using a power dialer for cold calling, you're going to need consent from the person you're contacting. You can still do one-off dials, but the laws are always changing, especially as more people get into this. Some people they don't have the right education. They they make it harder for everybody else. Most sellers I speak with, I have to clean up a mess I didn't create. That doesn't mean that it's out of business and it's over. It just means I have to pivot and I have to stand out. So I'll probably make a video on how do you stand out. That's another video. How do you stand out from the competition? How to stand out from competition. There's a lot of things that I do differently that my competition does, and it makes me a lot different. And I've recorded calls of people saying, out of all the people I've spoken to, you guys are most credible, and you're just the most transparent, whatever. I want to walk you guys through that. Why are people telling us that? I'll actually play that recording once I find it. Okay. But that's exactly what you want to hear. I love when sellers, because they get beat up on price all the time, even if we're not the highest, sometimes we're the lowest, and they still say that means you're onto something. So how do you build trust? How do you stand out? Okay. Because people do business with people they like and trust. They may not take the highest offer. Okay. So how to stand out. That's another. Keep these topics coming in if you think about them. What other questions we got? Why not list? Yeah, I saw that. Let's see. Should we deal with the buyer's agent along with the seller? Should we deal with the buyer's agent? Yeah. You can. Okay, you can. So if, for example, like that cash buyer I spoke with, one of the first few leads that I called, they renovated the property. They had an agent. That's a buyer's agent that they work with. We can work with them. If they feel more comfortable, we don't need to, but why would we not want to? It's no different than talking to the buyer. They're just representing, reviewing the paperwork. It shows me that the agent's already investor friendly. Now the buyer has to pay that commission. So I don't really care. That's all. Let's see. Hell no, it's not dead. It's very much alive. Exactly. Keith, what's up, man? Happy New Year. Hope everything's great. Best strategy for newbies with no budget. That's a good one. I'm actually there's a few coming. I'm going to write these down. No more Mojo dialer. Yeah, it's interesting how this is all going to play out, because I feel like people are still going to do it, but, there's going to be fines and stuff. So, I suggest reading into that. I'll see if I could, you could just Google it. It's called one-to-one consent. I actually posted it in the Facebook group. Okay. It says, let me see. Oh, TCPA, the Telephone Consumer Protection Act, has several new laws that take effect in 2025. Starting January 27, 2025, businesses must obtain a one-to-one consent from each seller rather than a single consent for multiple sellers. This means that businesses must disclose clearly, okay, that consumers will receive calls or texts from a specific seller. This also plays a role in your CRM, right? Is your CRM compliant? Are they opting in to allow you to text them? Because if they're not, you can get fined for that. And somebody asked a good question. Does this mean that cold calling is not a good option anymore? And the rules primarily apply to calls made using automated dialing systems or pre-recorded messages. Okay. I'll make a video on this. I think it's really important, because when I started, cold calling was like the thing, and you can still cold call, it'll work, but the way you do it has to be different. That's why wholesaling is not dead. It's just the way you do it has to be different. Okay. Keith hit the nail on the head. PPL and PPC are the most effective marketing strategies. I 100% agree. As a matter of fact, guys, I stopped cold calling. I stopped SMS. I don't do direct mail. All I have been doing, I would say for the past 6 months now, is PPL and PPC. If you don't know what that means, PPL means pay-per lead. Okay, pre-qualified lead sent to you. And PPC is like, like Google Ads campaign. I do have I use a few, but one that works a lot is called Sign and Assign. You can head over to the REIToolbox.com, and I put my favorite, PPL, PPC company. They also do PPC, but I like their PPL. There's a lot of services that offer these kinds of leads. And I've actually split tested a few. One in particular was not doing so good, and then they got better, and then they got worse. And then one is and then one has just been consistent, and it's called Sign and Assign. That's the one. So if you head over to the REIToolbox.com, you can learn more about that. And PPLs pay per lead. Now, if the lead you speak with is under contract or listed, they give you a refund. If you can't get a hold of lead, they'll give you a refund. But I'm telling you right now, the industry standard, all right, out of 10 to 15 leads, you should have one contract. All right. And if you get really good, I mean, for us, we're doing out of every 5 to 10 leads, we're getting a contract, and the average deal size is, I think, 25 to 30,000. Okay. So, look into that. I love PPL, PPC. I think it's just working so good. I'm really glad I made that switch. Also, I recommend warm calling. What is warm calling? You can go to for sale by owner websites, Zillow, Craigslist, Redfin, Realtor.com, and make those calls to people that want to sell, especially if you're on a limited budget. Okay. When comping condos, do you only look at solds in the same complex? What if there isn't any? Do you look at other condos in the area? So, yes, I only look at solds in the same complex. There could be a condo complex across the street, but that's like entering a different neighborhood and expecting the same type of property in the map. Okay. So, I try to stay in the same area. If there's not, it's really uncommon for you not to find condo comps in the same community. If you don't see any comps, the chances are that's in a co-op community. That means it's almost like mobile homes that are owned by the community, they don't own the land, right? So there are some like that, but usually there should be some comps, and they're all pretty much the same. So just look at bedroom, bathroom, square footage. I mean, the year built is usually the same across the board, depending how big the complex is, but I always stay in the same complex. Yep. Yeah, some PPL services are, they're making the pivots. They're making adjustments, and you want to work with vendors that are adjusting to the new laws and regulations, because if you don't, or they're not caught up to speed, it could put you in some trouble. Okay, so make sure you vet whatever vendors you're using. Now, if you're starting out from scratch, you guys don't need all the fancy, CRM and dialer and all that stuff. You can just use a simple Google Voice, okay? And that'll do the job. You have to know how to pivot in this business. Absolutely. Signed and assigned. Yes. This is one of the companies I use. Okay. It's called Sign and Assign. You can head over to the REIToolbox.com to look into this. But I mean, these guys are great. Obviously, not every single lead is perfect, just like every single lead, no matter where you're at. If it's listed, it's under contract, or if they don't answer, they will give you a refund. But I want to speak with people, and my team want to speak with people that are ready to sell. They're ready to act. They're going to you and saying, I want to sell my property. Okay. And there's different options. So, if you guys want to learn more about this, I'd recommend them, highly recommend them. So yeah, that's who I use and who I like. They're one of the most consistent. Let's see. What other questions? Yeah, that's it. Let me go back to the private chat. Do you mentor? How much is okay? So there's a few questions. So do I mentor? Yes. I don't. I'm trying something new out because I get a bunch of messages in the inbox, and some of them go to message requests. I may not even see them. I do mentor. Something that I'm going to try out is if you go to the RI Toolbox, there's what's it called, Connect, where you can get instant advice. You can literally text or video chat with me. So I'm going to try that out because I feel like that's the most convenient right now. I will be offering more things, but the REI Toolbox, you can go to Connect, and yeah, you can text me from there. You can even video call or voice chat, like whatever. I'm gonna give that a shot and see how that is because mentorship and stuff is not something that I'm really focused on right now. I do love helping people, but I can't help everybody due to my time. So I do more like group stuff. I speak on places and stuff. But yeah, I signed up for a Connect account right here, and I'm going to try it out, see how it is. But that's probably the best way to connect with me right now because I'm making some big changes, and it requires a lot of my time and focus. But I still want to help you guys through the deal desk or any way I can. Okay, so final few questions. Let's see. How much is PPL and PPC cost you per month? So for PPC, if you're doing it nationwide, right, it is an investment. So it also depends if you're using an agency or not, right? Because it could range, like PPC campaigns could range anywhere. You need a minimum budget of $5,000. If you're doing PPL, it could range anywhere between 100 to 250. If you're doing nationwide PPC, it could range between 50 to 100. So, I suggest when starting out, PPL is probably the best way to start out, depending what company, because you're paying per the lead. And for every 10 leads to 15 leads, you should have one contract. So if you really think about it, guys, let's say you're getting 15 deals. You're paying for 15 leads a week, right? And let's say, 15 leads a week. So you should have about 4 contracts a month just using PPL. And you know what I really like? The biggest competitive advantage that PPL and PPC have is the cash conversion cycle is about 30 days or less. If I'm cold calling, that conversion cycle could take 4 to 5 months because I'm calling somebody out of the blue. All right. So I may get a call here, then interest later, then a follow-up, then a contract, then a close. It may take 4 to 5 months. Whereas PPC, PPL, I mean, some of these people will sign the contract within the first 3 days. Okay. So I love it, and it's the best return on investment. All right. Can you drop the website link? So go to the ritoolbox.com, and that's one of the companies I use. Is called Signed and Sign. Okay. So try them out. Tell them Steven sent you. And I've played some of their recordings of contracts we've gotten on the deal desk. And I'm going to keep doing it. If I feel like, man, this call went really good, a lot of people can learn from this, I will play it on these shows in the beginning. So, yeah, guys. We're getting everything under contract and listing them. That's awesome. That's a great strategy too. Wholesaling, listing stuff. Just got to get them at a good price. We're getting this deal. Hopefully let me see. Did they sign today? Let me check something real quick. We were working on this deal in San Antonio. Okay. The property is worth $450. We're getting it at $300,000. She wants us to pay the back taxes, which is about $9,000. And you know when it was built? 2023. We could easily this is a good deal. I just got to make sure that she's really hard to get a hold of sometimes, but we're working on it. But yeah, I mean, this stuff isn't just for ugly houses. It works for nice houses too. Follow-up is key. I should also do a video on follow-up. So, guys, again, before I get off of here, any ideas or any videos you want me to make, I want to start collecting ideas. So I'm gonna book a studio here within the next week or so, and I just want to start making a bunch of videos, just free stuff you can implement. Okay, but that's it, guys. Have a great weekend. Go crush it. Go close some deals. I'll see you next time. Take care.